Illana Burk, CEO of Your Life's Workshop, coach to entrepreneurs and solopreneurs across dozens of industries, and host of Good Business. With nearly 20 years' experience helping hundreds of clients create profitable, ethically driven, and sustainable businesses based on their life's work, I'm here to teach you how to do great work, make great money, and make a positive impact without feeling like you need a shower afterwards. Well, hello friends. It's lovely to be here. It's been a little while. I have been working on all kinds of things that I can't wait to start sharing with you, and that's all coming soon. But today, I want to jump into talking about something that just came up with a client, and it feels so relevant that I was like, okay, this is the thing I need to jump back in on. And that is the fact that the way we think about our businesses is changing so goddamn rapidly that it felt really worth like coming here and getting this out immediately. So what we're going to talk about today is the simple truth that the way we thought about the future has dramatically shifted, right? As a result of COVID and our general changing climate, how we're thinking about the sustainability of what we do, no matter what industry you're in, is evolving like so fast we can barely keep up. We can hardly even think about what needs to happen next. And this came about as a conversation with a client of mine who has a brick and mortar business that's out of necessity, right? Like what she does can't be really translated directly online. So she's in that spot where there's all kinds of new health protocols. She has reopened, but is dealing with a lot of health protocols that are making what she used to do less fun, less sustainable, less profitable, less accessible to people. And she's experiencing changes in consumer behavior. She's experiencing changes in how she even really wants to show up, and is asking herself a lot of questions about how she wants to be in her work. And all of that's happening so fast, well, at a time where we're all kind of like holding our breath and trying to like go, what do we even do about what comes next, right? So today I want to talk a little bit about a trend that I see that I'm working with, and what many of you listening might also be kind of chewing on as business owners or aspiring business owners. And I want to just kind of talk about that as is this the next shiny thing, or is this something that's a new evolution? Will it stick around, et cetera, et cetera. So what I'm talking about is creating communities. Now, we have all seen lots and lots and lots of things about creating communities. So today I'm going to talk about kind of my thinking on creating community, because it happens to be something that next new big thing that I was talking about is that exact thing, is that's coming. So I'm going to talk about that of like my own perspective. And I'm also going to talk about why I'm choosing to do it the way I'm doing it, why I think it's not the right thing for everyone, how to have some realistic expectations around it, and also what I think is going to happen to this trend over the next few years. And so what we're talking about today is membership spaces, communities, who they're for, who they're not, why some of them work, why some of them don't, why you should do it or not do it, and what your expectations should kind of be around it. Now, I expect this will be a conversation that will be ongoing, but this is kind of my starting place, my primer. So for those of you that don't already know, I have been working diligently on Mighty Networks membership community for quite a while now. It's going to be an educational space for holistic learning around business and health and well-being and life, and basically being, a whole human and not just a business owner. So it's opening very, very soon. This is not a pitch, but I'm just letting you know that this is the context of where I'm coming from. I have been deeply entrenched in that development, which is why the podcast has been on hold for a little bit, because frankly, I just didn't have time to do everything. And because that shift is happening, I also wanted the podcast to feel more connected and relevant to that new iteration of my work in the world. So that's where I'm coming from on this. Now, I will say I definitely don't know everything about every platform that's out there. That is, we're not really getting into a technical choice conversation. I have chosen Mighty Networks as the place where I'm building mine. And I'm certain I will be doing lots of shows about the upsides, downsides, what you can do with it, etc. in the future, but that's just not what I'm doing today. I chose it because it really beautifully combines community and learning. Something that I've always felt is critical to actually building good businesses is you have to have the right people, right? You have to have the right people and the right learning, and those two things need to be linked. And something that's been unique about my business forever is that most of my clients have connected to one another over time, and many of them have business relationships that I don't even know about now, and they've created these incredible ecosystems of economies all unto themselves. So I wanted to do that in a very deliberate way. I also wanted to create a learning space where you could learn just what you need and not take big giant programs that only have some of what you need and then a whole bunch of stuff that you either don't agree with, don't want, don't need, don't ever look at. So the membership space, I'm keeping things very simple. And again, you'll have lots of information about that soon. But I just want to give you guys a little sense of like, okay, this is where I'm coming from. I have a bias. I like Mighty. It is not perfect. It does not do everything I want it to do, which has been really frustrating for me. But it does most of what I want it to do. And I also have several clients that are working with it as well, many on my recommendation. But people are creating communities because that seems to be the next big thing, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today is the next big thing. Is creating membership spaces actually the next big thing? You know, back when I started, blogging was all the rage. You pretty much just had to have a blog, and then that became completely accepted. It was no longer a niche thing. It was like, if you're going to be in business, you have to have a blog to support it. Well, then blogging kind of, has moved out of the thing, right? And now it's podcasting. And podcasting is how you promote it yourself. And I resisted that for a long time because most of what I heard in podcasting was, fluffy nonsense. And I wanted to create something that gave people a little bit more than that. And I hope I've done that. I get a lot of good feedback that I actually teach things, and I feel like you guys learn things from the feedback I get. So that's, yay, right? Now, community building, though, is getting kind of regarded that in that same vein of like, is this the next big marketing thing? Now, my stance is it's the next big trend. It is not a marketing tool. It's a business model. And that's a very, very important differentiation, is that creating a community is not the same as creating a podcast or having a blog or having a great Instagram presence or having a YouTube channel. Those are marketing tactics. They can be strategic choices, but they're tactical, right? You can have a business without those things. Having a membership space is a revenue model. It's a way of actually getting people into your business and paying you directly in many cases, in most cases, right? Same thing with course development. Now, those things everybody's doing, but not everybody should be doing because for a couple reasons. For one thing, not everybody's expertise lends itself well to courses, and not everyone's skill level or temperament lends itself well to community building. It took me a very long time to feel like I had the skill, know-how, personal sense of leadership, commitment to actually wanting to show up with that level of regularity and empathy and general ability to objectively listen to what my communities need, to feel like that's something that I could make a central part of my business model. And that's, when I say it took me a long time, we're talking like it took 8 years before I really felt that. Now, what I'm seeing is people are not making that choice with that understanding that having a community is not like having a podcast. You can stop podcasting for a few months and then you start again and people listen again. You can not blog for a while and your open rates might go down, but people will read again. If you have a community and you decide to go camping for a couple weeks and nobody's watching the store, people will wander off and they will never fucking come back. They just won't. It's like they need to feel like you're there, like you are somebody who shows up and, turns the keys on the door every day. You can't expect people to continue to be a part of your community if you're not showing up with like real, authentic desire to be there. So that's a really big difference because I think a lot of people with COVID, especially, everybody's moving online and people are seeing dollar signs and they're creating these communities that they don't really realize what they're biting off. They don't realize the level of leadership that's needed. They don't even really know what that means. They're looking at formulas. They're launching first and creating second. They're doing, whatever to get stuff out there, not recognizing that this is kind of their one chance to get this really right. And they're not even considering the level of facilitation and presence and I'll say this again, objectivity that is vital to actually creating a community that people can thrive in, because what they're looking at is the upside for their business and what they're creating. And they're not really looking at the fact that if you're going to successfully create a community, you have to create a dramatic upside for the people in it. And you have to do it over and over and over again. And you have to be constantly responsive to what they need to change, what works for them, what doesn't, when to stay out of the way and when to jump in. And it's basically, so what I'm seeing a lot of is people creating with the wrong goal in mind. They're creating it as like I can make money at this and take my thing online. And they're not going, am I the right person for this? And am I good at it? And do I want to show up with this level of intensity and regularity? And do I have the space and time and energy to actually do that? And they're coming at it from a space of like really, really unrealistic expectations of how long it takes and how many I's you have to dot and T's you have to cross in order to like make it, more deeply functional and work long term. So I've spent a lot of time talking some of my clients into creating communities, and I've spent an equal amount of time talking some of them out of it. And what I'm helping people do right now, and what I'm encouraging all of you, dear listeners, I love saying that, to do is to contemplate what 3 years out looks like. If only for a second. If you can, if you're somebody who's out there and you're contemplating creating a community or maybe doing your first course, before you invest the time and energy in going down that road, close your eyes for a second and think about what it will feel like 3 years from now. How will your circumstances shift from where you are right now? And I know right now everybody's like, how do I even get through the fucking election, right? We're looking at what will tomorrow be? Not what will a year from now be, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now. If you're somebody who's listening and you occupy a brick and mortar space, this exercise will probably make you shit your pants a little bit, because 3 years from now could be very different. It will likely never be the same as it was. I think we all understand that now. We see that now, that the status quo is probably gone. Ordinary is never going to be quite the same shape as it was. And we're all kind of recalibrating to that. And now that we've sort of settled into that normalcy, now we can start going, okay, well, what if this is normal? What if this is just how it is for the next 2 years, 3 years? Will you be able to survive with what you have? And if not, is, communityizing, air quotes here, is that the right solution for you? Or is that just the one that everybody's doing? We see lots and lots of promotion for it. Everybody's kind of doing it. And what will be the backlash of everybody doing it? That's the other part of this to consider, is that if everybody's creating communities, then eventually people will really get burned out. It's hard enough to even get people to contemplate leaving Facebook for basically anything new. If you are one of many in someone's general, peer group, I guess, orbit, if you're one of many that's creating a community, they're going to probably get fatigued and stop joining them. I compared this earlier today on the same call with the client, that it's like the war of the streaming services right now. Like today when I'm recording this, it's Prime Day and I'm getting all the promotions of join all of these new channels, and Amazon's offering 99 cents for all these different channels. And so my husband and I were like, well, let's try them out for 99 cents for a couple months. I'll give them a shot, and I'll just put it on my calendar and cancel if we don't like them. So we signed up for all these things, and we start looking around. I'm like, okay, so I have to try to remember where to find Peppa Pig for my 5-year-old. What channel did I sign up for that has that? Okay, is it Noggin? Is it Epix? I don't know. Right? So I'm going through this whole thing of yay, we unplugged from cable, but now I don't have a remote control. I just have to remember in my brain where what lives, I suspect a very similar thing will start to happen for people in membership spaces. And the backlash of that is that everyone's going to end up back on Facebook, right? If we're not careful. And what I mean by the if we're not careful part, what I'm endeavoring to encourage and create is kind of more hub spaces, spaces that do more than just one thing, which means pooling your resources, looking to other people who maybe do something ancillary to what you do, that instead of creating, you each create membership spaces, you each create communities, you look for ways to maybe create some pods. Or you look for ways to go, I'm a healer and I know someone who's a psychologist and I know someone else who is, specializes in meditation, and I know someone else who specializes in X or Y or Z, right? Like things that are kind of loosely related, that the same maybe type of human might be interested in all of those things, and pool your resources. Figure out a way to create a collective dynamic so that you're not all independently competing for the same few bucks a month. And you're not all trying to sell to your same communities over and over again to the point that nobody wins. It's like that. If you ever saw that movie in the 90s, Beautiful Mind, with Russell Crowe, that, by the way, does not hold up well. I tried to watch it again recently. Not so much. But there's that great scene where he talks about, like, mathematically, if all the boys go for the blonde, then nobody gets the blonde, and because all the girls around the blonde feel like they're unwanted, so then nobody wins. This is kind of that. If your potential client is the blonde, if everybody goes around the blonde and you all go for everyone else and you do it collectively and you work together, then perhaps you have a chance for ongoing success, which also helps with that facilitation thing that I touched on at the beginning of the call, where you might not all be good facilitators. You might not all be good group leaders. You might absolutely fucking suck at understanding what your people need. Now, I know that sounds harsh and you're probably sitting there going, no, I know what my people need. But really, do you? Do you understand what their behavior needs? Do you understand how much time they want to spend with you? Do you understand the difference between I'm offering something that everybody I meet tells me is really great and they would love to have it, and something that's the actual sellable version of that? Because those are two different things. Can you look objectively at what you create to know whether or not it's actually going to be effective from a behavioral standpoint? Like, I'll give you an example. I've been working like crazy to create my network, and I am doing it all myself because I really want to learn all of the ins and outs of how every single thing functions, mostly because of what I do for a living. I have a lot of people asking me questions, and it's important to me to understand how every tool in something like that works before I deploy it, because I know people will be asking me questions about it. Just as, by default, I'm a business coach, right? People are going to ask me stuff. So there's a section of Mighty Networks about topics, right? Where you set up your topics when you're setting up your space. Now, the topic section, it's kind of like categories. If you have WordPress, it's like, these are the neighborhoods in which people can, classify their articles or ideas. I had, I think, 6 or 8 topics that I was going to work with, and I redid them, I think 4 times, 5 times maybe, and they took me 2 or 3 hours to do each time. Now, that's going to sound insane. And those of you who have actually set this up in Mighty Networks are like, how the fuck can you spend that much time doing topics? Here's how, okay? Because I'm new at this. I'm figuring it out, which meant that the first time I did it, I didn't realize that I didn't need to lay, text over the top of the graphics, that Mighty Networks is going to put their own text over the top of the graphics. So then I had to redo them again. Well, then I realized that I needed the imagery to say more about what the topic was. Well, then, so I needed to do them again. So then I needed to figure out, like, okay, behaviorally, if the image crops out this way when it's used on this thing over here, then how are new participants going to experience that versus participants who have maybe been there for a year? So you're thinking really, really far out, and you're thinking about all these different pieces simultaneously. The goals, the needs, the understanding of every possible user. Well, I had to objectively look at like, hey, it's midnight for the 3rd night in a row that I'm still working on this, and I have to redo it again because I missed something. Now, multiply that by 100. If you can't objectively look at your work and be willing to throw out hours and hours of work because it's just not right, then you're going to create a space that's not right. You're going to create a space that isn't that doesn't do what it needs to do in order to get to the thing you actually wanted, which was a more sustainable business. So I'm looking at community building as like this, basically. If you're not already ready, willing, and able to look at your business wildly objectively as a CEO, not as a, this is my life's work and this is my bliss, which I understand the irony of, your life's workshop is what I am. But part of what I do is that your life's work requires you to become a CEO of whatever that work is. It's a combination of both bliss and objectivity. And that's complicated. And once you actually understand that those two things have to exist in the same space, in your head and your heart and your mind and your soul and all of those places, then you can start understanding what your resources truly are and how to really deploy them effectively. So if you don't know that you can do that, if you don't know if you can look objectively at the needs of your people, then you don't know yet that this is the right choice for you. If you think that you want to get a membership site up in, 30 days, more power to you. Go sign up for Stu McLaren's thing and he'll tell you all about how to have your first membership space without any content. And you'll launch it like crazy and you will spam your friends and you will follow the patterns of like, I'm going to launch a thing and here's my founding price tag and then I'll build the parachute on the way down the cliff. There is something to be said for that. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's not a sustainable model long term, in my opinion, unless you are going into that, again, looking objectively at whether or not you have the chops for it. So, yes, you can totally go that route and you can launch quickly with very little. But likely that's the wrong choice. Likely Fast and Loose is not going to help you get something strong and sustainable built on a foundation that you can grow off of. Likely building something like this should take 6 months to a year. Likely you should be looking much further out and how building something like this will interplay with whatever else you want to accomplish. It requires that you stop looking at your business as a day-to-day enterprise and you start looking at it as a sustainable long-term enterprise. That's how people who really think about business strategy think about their work. So I'm challenging you to do that. And I'm challenging you to think about that as something different than, how do I get online? How do I make money online? How do I get out of this cycle of finding clients and get online? I promise you, creating a membership space is not the magical, immediate answer to all of your problems. It's just not. It might be the answer, but it's not if you feel like you're doing it with a gun to your head. So consider that. And consider whether or not you actually want to be a facilitator, a guide, a teacher, a leader, a handholder, in addition to whatever else you already are. If you don't want to, then you will not be successful long term as a group leader. You will not be successful if you don't know that that's what you're in for. If you don't have the facility, the faculties, the temperament to do all of those things on an ongoing basis, to be present, to give freely of yourself and your time, you won't get what you want out of this. You might make some cash up front, and then you'll have a bunch of people that stick around in your group and never participate. And you'll have people that keep paying because they don't know how to cancel their subscription or they forgot all about it. And you're going to have a few people that are super active, but they won't actually make you much money, and you'll lose interest. If you're somebody with a serious case of shiny object syndrome, I do not recommend investing this much time and energy in creating something like this because you're going to have to conquer that. You're going to have to deal with your shit around that because once you're in and you've created something and you have people showing up on a regular basis, you got to be able to get excited about that every day. You have to know that and find a way to do that and bake it right in. So that's my primer on membership spaces and what I kind of think about that and what I see about that. And as I said, very, very soon I'm going to be launching mine because I gave it all of that thought and I contemplated it and worked towards it for literally years. It's something I'm extremely proud of and very, very excited to share with people. It's going to be the most affordable and grounded way to work with me. I have a lineup of incredible guests that will be doing workshops with me on a regular basis. And it's going to make what I do accessible to so many more people. And that feels really magical and really amazing. And if you aren't already connected to me in other places, please make sure that you subscribe through my website at thegoodbusiness.co or through yourlifesworkshop.com. And make sure that you are on my list, because I will be doing fun things like launch specials and a lifetime membership for a low price and all that stuff. And I promise it will be not the ordinary launch of like, oh my God, so much urgency. It will not be anything like that. It will be some really fun emails with probably some good jokes and nasty words in them going, hey, look, I did a thing. And you will be invited to come and hang out in the thing. And it will be useful, and it will be things that you need. And if you like hanging out with me here, I promise you will like hanging out with me there. And I hope you do. So if you have questions, if you want to be a part of that, please make sure you subscribe. This is not something I beg of my people very often, but I think that you'll dig it. So if you dug this call, if you really want to kind of play with me more in that kind of way, then please go find me there. And I wish you guys all the best. I know COVID is fucking nuts and the election is impending and things are really complicated right now. And I really aspire and hope to be able to be here with you more in supporting you in your growth and in your life's work. Thank you all very much for being here with me and spending your time with me. It means the world. Have a good one. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. For more information, visit thegoodbusiness.co or yourlifesworkshop.com.